What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
And we can't forget our history here either. And this is, I don't know if anybody knows this, but every president that was assassinated, let's think about them, was Lincoln, okay, Garfield, yeah. McKinley,
yep.
and
Kennedy.
Well, Lincoln, when his autopsy was performed, the individuals that were involved in that examination did a limited dissection on President Lincoln. It was head only. They didn't open him up completely. This is in 1865. Okay. Mm-hmm. By the way, if anyone's ever been or has never been to the Ford Theater, I recommend you go. That museum.
Were you there that night?
No, I might look like it, but I wasn't. Selling peanuts. Fascinating to see Boost Boot, see the weapon, all of that sort of thing. Great trip. So he was autopsied by military physicians. His examination was conducted by them. Garfield, famously, who lingered.
Was that 84?
Yeah.
94?
Yes. And as a matter of fact, it was at a time where Alexander Graham Bell got involved in it and actually used the first rudimentary form of X-ray in order to try to locate the ball. He was shot at a train station, I think actually in Jersey.
In Jersey, not Long Branch, 1881, September 19th. Long Branch is probably about it's 35 if I'm driving from here.
No kidding.
Yeah. Chris Olave's driving, it's probably a half hour.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Let's don't go there.
Sorry.
Broken-hearted Saints fan here.
Anyway.
With Garfield, he lingered in tremendous pain. But guess what? They did his autopsy. It was a complete autopsy. As a matter of fact, I think it's being held by AFIP. I'm not sure. They took out a goodly portion of his spine. They still have it.
No shit.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Got buried like all wrinkled and.
Well, you got to remember General Sickles, Dan Sickles. He would famously, he lost his leg in one engagement, and it was amputated, and he kept his leg and donated it to the Smithsonian, I think, or maybe it was the Armed Forces Museum. I'm not sure. And he used to go visit his leg, so that was kind of an interesting little aside. But then we go to McKinley, and McKinley again. Garfield his autopsy was performed by military physicians, Army physicians. McKinley, when he was shot in Buffalo, he suffered greatly as well, but he was also thoroughly autopsied. Now, you're talking about these two presidents, one in the 1880s. McKinley was in 1901, I think.
I think that's right.
Some 62 years after McKinley, President Kennedy is assassinated. In the world, mind you, that we're entering into, space age. Just let this sink in for a second. You've got this homicide case, and according to what I understand, the widow is dictating what kind of autopsy is going to be performed.
Yeah, I'd heard, yeah.
And there's something in the morgue that we refer to, and not many people have heard this term. It's called tongue to testicles. And what that means is that when we're going to do an autopsy, obviously, we're going to remove the brain. This is for a full autopsy, and we do full autopsies in almost every homicide that occurs. I can't think of any case that I've been involved in on a homicide where we didn't do a full autopsy. That means that everything comes out. And literally, with a male, you go from the tongue to the testicles. It all comes out.
One at a time?
It all depends. There's two different methodologies. You have what's referred to as en bloc, which means that you go when you've seen the classic Y incision that's made into a body that's being autopsied. It starts at the apex of both shoulders, goes down, meets in the middle, goes all the way down to the groin. We open the body up, take out the chest plate, and then you reflect the chest up so that it's literally over the face. You go up along the trachea, and you remove what are referred to as the organs of the neck. We've got the trachea, we've got a lot of vasculature that's running through here, all the way up to the tongue, through the floor of the mouth. We take it out. And when you do en bloc, which means in one big section, you trim out, following down the spine, pulling on the tongue as you go down, and you remove all the way down to the sigmoid colon. Actually to the rectum, and then press the testicles up, remove them out, and everything is laid out. That's en bloc.
What does that look like if it's all? Because you know what I picture? I picture like a sack of skin sitting there, nothing else.
No,
I know it's not like that, but
you're talking about the remains of the
yeah,
and coarsely. This is very coarse. I actually had a forensic pathologist that used to say this. It really made my skin crawl, and it takes a lot to make my skin crawl. But he would say, as he's walking out the door to go do autopsies, he'd say, "Let's go make human canoes."
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no. But no, the body isn't just a sack; it's a shell, and because you have the framework of the ribs that are there, and it's there, but it's just an open, gaping space at this point. Now that's en bloc. Many times, pathologists will do this so that they can really look at all of the organ systems in their totality. They can kind of flip it over and get a posterior view, see everything, because you've gone right down the spinal column, where you can examine, the backside of the aorta and all of these other landmarks along the way. Then you have organ by organ examinations, and in a complex gunshot wound case like this, you would do organ by organ. But remember what I said about the widow dictating only a partial autopsy be done. Julian, this is where we really come to a point where it's very troubling because though an examination of the neck was performed, the organs of the neck in JFK's case were not removed. So the trachea remained in place. Now, what do we know about the trachea? Well, the trachea is the place where the round allegedly exited, or depending on how you look at it, entered.
And that was at the beginning of the film when he goes like this
Yeah.
with his neck. First shot.
It's like this. It's a neuroreflex where you do like this. I've seen people that have actually hung themselves where remember how I was saying that they videotape themselves sometimes. You'll see hanging victims that will do this, like this. Their thumbs will extend. You see that there's a lot of people that videotape themselves doing autoerotic stuff and all that. But anyway, it's a neuromuscular response. This is critical. We're trying to track the wound.
Yeah.
And then you compare, say, for instance, one of the big bones of contention in the case is placement of this defect that's in the back. The first report came out that, when you first see those images from the morgue, I remember the first time I ever saw the autopsy images, with JFK. And, you're looking, the first time you see this. And I think when I saw them, I can't remember if I was already working in the field or not, but I wanted to be able, just like anybody else, to be able to appreciate, the gunfire related stuff, any kind of insults that were there. And there's this little defect that is right at, and the way they placed it was right at T4. T4 is your fourth thoracic vertebra, is the fourth thoracic vertebra. Now, they had said that it may have clipped the transverse processes, which if you look at vertebral body, it's got these little horns that kind of stick out. It's on the right side. And then it passes through the president's body. And of course, you've got this defect in the throat right here where they're saying that it's exiting out of. It's essential that if you're trying to track the wound, one of the ways we track wounds is to follow the path of the projectile and the hemorrhage that's left behind. He was still alive, okay? So he would have hemorrhaged in this area.
When that shot comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then in the minutes immediately following that, he would have been hemorrhaging through there, or quick, seconds rather.
Real quick, just before I forget, because I promised this like 15 minutes ago. Chris, do you mind real fast? Can you run down that same place and just grab him a coffee? Yeah. Because I forgot to ground up those beans. That's my bad. Thanks, bro. Anyway, I'm sorry, Joseph. Continue.
That's all right, bro.
We're going to get you your coffee, keep you awake.
Oh, no. I apologize.
You seem very awake out here. I don't know what you're talking about, but I want to make sure you have it in case you feel like you need it.
Oh. There's never a bad time for coffee.
There's never a bad time for it. A little mud water, too. Mud water's good for you.
Oh, boy.
Good stuff. Anyway, you were talking about the fourth thoracic vertebrae.
Yeah, and so when we're tracking these wounds in the morgue, the forensic pathologist, one of the things they're trying to determine is the angle at which a round comes in. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to kind of follow the path of what we believe is the kind of cavitated area, the space that the projectile has left behind, and we track that with hemorrhage. Not to mention there's a void there because as the projectile is traveling through the body, it's tearing up tissue along the way. So you can see evidence of that as well. If you have not removed the organs of the neck, okay, there's no way that you can fully appreciate the extent of the trauma, what areas have been impacted. And there's certainly no way that you can, I don't think, accurately understand the trajectory. And trajectory in this case is essential to trying to understand. You know, when you think about this shot that that Oswald had taken from the schoolbook depository.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.